Tonight, Star Trek webcomics, what's coming up, and we remember Donald Gibb and Tom Kane. All that and more on this edition of Multiverse Tonight.
Welcome to Multiverse Tonight, your source for geek news. We dissect films, games, comics, and much more, bringing you insightful commentary on pop culture. This is Multiverse Tonight. Now, here's your host, Thomas Town.
Well, hello there, and welcome to episode 265 of Multiverse Tonight. I'm, of course, your host, Thomas Townley. And, halfway through May, the drought's stirring outside. My 3D printing is getting interesting. I've gotten stuff to upgrade it, but I don't know if I have the skill to do these upgrades. So, I might just end up selling what I've bought. It'll be someone else's game. That's fine by me. I can always buy a printer that does more what I want, at some point in the future. I'm also considering running for public office. Yeah, you heard me. I'm weighing, a run for Kansas State Representative. That's the Kansas House of Representatives. So it'd be a state office. I'd actually make more money than I am making at Walmart, interestingly enough. But I think right now my thought is to wait 2 years to run, because I would have to have all the paperwork and all the stuff done and into the Secretary of State's office by basically the first of next month. So it's already halfway through May. So it's like, I'm gonna just, maybe I should just hold off on that. The odds of my winning in this cycle are probably no better than my winning in the next cycle. This is a deep red Republican district. Okay. The last time a Democrat faced off against the Republican, they got about 30% of the vote. So, people would have to be really ticked off the Republicans and want to send a message that they, really don't like what the Republicans are doing. And I don't know if this guy is, done enough to make himself even a blip in people's minds to be mad at him about anything. So again, my thoughts right now are to wait 2 years unless the Democrats, which is what I am, unless the Democrats say, hey, we'll take care of pretty much everything. You just, get your ass to Topeka, get the form filled out, and we'll take care of everything else. Just run. If they do that, I would do it this year. Not, I'll wait. No sense in rushing to this. And it's just because I think, we're in a terrible place and people need to stand up. Yeah. And I'm not going to go for local office here because, basically I haven't lived here my whole life. So, my name doesn't mean anything. But other than that, and that's kind of depressing thought, let's go on to a little bit of Star Trek news. Star Trek news begins with Star Trek, which has been shaping popular sci-fi and entertaining the masses for just shy of 60 years. And over these past 6 decades, the series has blazed trails in terms of representation, whether it be on TV, movies, comic books, etc. Well, now they're going to be exploring webcomics, unleashing 2 brand new canonical side stories connected to Deep Space Nine and Voyager. The 2 series, called Stargazers and Recollection, will respectively focus on original characters and stories, cruising the promenade of a post-war Deep Space Nine and a mysterious Federation starship later in the timeline between the Next Generation and Voyager, respectively. Both will explore mysteries of their own, but with two vastly different tones, true to the multifaceted spirit of Star Trek. Now, this is on the Webtoon app, as announced by Webtoon and Paramount Products and Experiences. Stargazers comes first, laying the charge in May 17th, 2026. Featuring an assortment of familiar faces and friendly species, Stargazers, a Star Trek story, launches this spring with 3 episodes free for readers immediately on May 17th, so went live as yesterday, as well as 5 available for Fast Pass, with new installments totaling 40 episodes. The webcomic is written by Jared Melendez and initially sets up a slice of life premise of Leon just as he's finishing school and navigating his life. Stargazer is illustrated by Kasai Entertainment's famed Webtoon studio. Leon's primary companions include his close friend, the young Bajoran Churi, a new passing flame named Inno, and the surprisingly casual reveal of a changeling friend from the Great Link, Kanega, working as a hairstylist and makeup artist on the promenade. Leon is a helpless flirt, soon finding love on a collision course with first love backed up by loyal friends and his adorable dog Alfie, as likely Alfred Quadrant Nod. At its heart, Stargazers is prominently a boys' love story in its approach to romance, perfectly fitting for Deep Space Nine and its massive strides with Star Trek's first same-sex kiss in the show's 4th season. Speaking of stories' impact and their Paramount's head of global publishing, Amy Gerasco, that's a name. Quote, "One of the most remarkable things about Star Trek is that even after 6 decades, there are still new frontiers to explore, not just in story, but in how these stories are told. We're introducing Star Trek on a new platform with Webtoon." Webtoon, that's all one word, creating a uniquely immersive experience for our audience, as well as an exciting evolution for the franchise and a powerful way to connect with both devoted fans and new demographic as they discover these original stories. Now, Recollection is a Star Trek story written by New York Times bestselling author Sam Maggs, illustrated by Kisai Entertainment. A tonal shift releasing later in 2026, Recollection focuses on a young amnesiac woman waking up on a mysterious Federation vessel with 6 other passengers and a holopilot, Jad, who seems to be withholding the full truth from them. As the group reaches a remote outpost in search of truth, the protagonist encounters a Vulcan who recognizes her, providing a device that unlocks fleeting glimpses of her lost memories. Recollection will release later in summer of 2026, with 40 episodes total. So, Webtoons. Yay? Boo? Frankly, I'd rather just read the ones from IDW. They're just as good. This sounds more like kind of YA manga type stuff, and that's not really my cup of tea. But if it is yours, go get your fill of it. Anyway, let's go on to the DC Comics news. And we begin DC Comics news with Sneakwa Walls being the latest actor to join Man of Tomorrow, the Superman sequel now filming in Atlanta. His character details are being kept in a pretty secure location. DC Studios, so far, has had no comment about the casting. Walls came up on the 2000s TV classic Friday Night Lights and recently shared in the Peacock limited series Fight Night, the $1 Million Heist with Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Hart. On the film side, he led the Hulu remake of White Men Can't Jump and appeared in the Netflix hit Carry On as the best friend to Taron Egerton's TSA agent, as well as the horror comedy The Blackening. In 2022, he starred opposite Brian Cox as a veteran of the drama feature Mending the Line. Now, Man of Tomorrow is Rare director James Gunn's follow-up to last year's Superman. David Cornsweet returns as Superman with Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, this time teaming up to take on the threat of Brainiac, played by Lars Ettinger. Adriana Arjona joined the franchise, while Lantern star Aaron Pierre is on the call sheet, along with Rachel Brosnahan, Skylar Gisondo, Sarah Sampio, Isabella Merced, Nathan Fillion, and Edie Gethge. The film has a release date of July 9th, 2027, and follows 2026 DC titles Supergirl and Clayface, as well as the TV series Lanterns, due out later this year. Well, let's go on to the geek news. Always hydrate before reading the news. Geek News begins with Warner Brothers Pictures Animations event on this past Tuesday, which drew filmmakers, creatives, and journalists as the team's leaders laid out their vision. WBPA President and Chief Creative Officer Bill Damaski hosted the open house at the Burbank studio lot, where Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group co-chair and CEO Pam Abdi joined him to deliver opening remarks. The event was timed to take place and the lead-up to the studio's presentation at next month's Annecy International Animation Film Festival. During her speech, Abdi teased a number of projects that are in active production, including The Cat in the Hat, with the Dr. Seuss adaptation featuring Bill Hader in the titular role and hitting theaters in November. Abdi noted that this marks the animation studio's first feature since its rebrand that began with Damaski's 2023 hiring. She explained that the film, quote, sets the tone for what WBPA represents today: filmmaker-driven, visually ambitious, and designed a true theatrical event, unquote. Abdi also expressed excitement that the Annecy presentation will include the debut screening for Daffy Season. Directors Todd Wilderman and Hamish Greaves' short centers on Daffy Duck learning that Elmer Fudd is newly obsessed with soccer, which is appropriate considering it's just ahead of the 2026 World Cup. Quote, we're also thrilled to be unveiling at Annecy Daffy Season, a Looney Tunes theatrical short that reestablishes our commitment to bringing Looney Tunes back to the big screen, unquote. Abdi went on to express her excitement for such forthcoming original animated features as the musical Bad Fairies, starring Cynthia Erivo, and set for release next year. Also on the horizon is the Melissa McCarthy-led Margie Claus and the adaptation of author Marissa Meyer's The Lunar Chronicles. Dynamic duo Tom and Jerry, Meerkat Manor, Hello Kitty, and Oh, the Places You'll Go, among the other titles teased at the event. In his remarks, Damaski praised Abdi and fellow Warner Bros. Film co-chief Mike DeLuca for their commitment to his plan. And describing the slate that will see 7 features hit the big screen in 3 years, Damaski said, quote, different looks, different styles, different tones, connected with what I hope will be heart, hope, humor, and a scale that earns the big screen and remaining an artist-first community, unquote. Of course, this all subject to change if Paramount does, in fact, get a hold of Warner Brothers, so your mileage may vary. Sam Raimi has settled on his next directing effort. As his follow-up to Send Help, Raimi will direct Magic, Lionsgate's modern take on a William Goldman novel that was previously turned into a 1978 cult horror classic featuring Anthony Hopkins as a mentally unstable ventriloquist. Wait a minute, there are mentally stable ventriloquists? Raimi is already on board to produce the update, having set it at his eponymous production company late last year. Mark Swift and Damien Shannon, who wrote Send Help for Raimi and who previously penned Freddy vs. Jason and the remake of Friday the 13th, wrote the script for Magic, which will be an updated take on the 76 novel by William Goldman. Magic, the original, starred Anthony Hopkins as Corky, a magician who reaches fame alongside his ventriloquist dummy, the obnoxious and wisecracking Fats. Faced with the prospect of signing a network deal for his own show, but afraid of revealing his fragile mental state, the magician takes off for the Catskills, where he tries to reconnect with a high school love, even as Fats begins to murderously take control of the situation. The movie also starred Anne Margaret and Burgess Meredith, and was directed by Richard Attenborough. The movie generated buzz before its release at 20th Century Fox with a TV ad that focused just on the face of the dummy, which declared, "Magic is fun. We're dead." Magic is fun. We're dead. Anyway, Disney's annual upfront presentation to advertisers in New York kicked off with some high energy antics and singing courtesy of the viral sensations, the Savannah Bananas. Not long after, it was revealed that the team's Banana Bowl will stream live on Disney Plus in October as part of a larger partnership with Disney that includes standout player Jackson Olsen joining Dancing with the Stars. Also, Ahsoka star Rosario Dawson and her very own droid promised fans an even bigger and better season 2 of the series, which will debut in early 2027, according to Dawson. That is nearly a 4-year gap between season 2 and the first season, which was released back in August of 2023. Marvel stars Robert Downey Jr., Tom Hiddleston, and Paul Bettany followed suit, including a first look at the upcoming Disney Plus Marvel series Vision Quest, and news that the show would premiere in October of 2026. FX then took over with their usual big swing for one of their shows. This year, it was the creepy performance in honor of FX franchise American Horror Story, complete with people in latex suits, scary clowns, and a whole gang of druids. Starring Sarah Paulson, Evan Peters, Angela Bassett, Gabrielle Sidibe, Billy Lord, and Emmy Roberts, they took the stage to announce the love story star Paul Anthony Kelly's addition to the show's 13th season. This was followed by a first look at Ryan Murphy's new series, The Shards. Don't mistake that for The Shards, which isn't our problem all entirely. It was a Lord of the Rings reunion at the Cannes Film Festival on Tuesday night as Oscar winner director Peter Jackson received an honorary Palme d'Or from Elijah Wood, who played Frodo Baggins in the fantasy franchise. In the speech, Wood recalled meeting Jackson for the first time at 18 after sending in an audition video. Quote, "He had seen a VHS tape I'd made with friends in the woods of Griffith Park, and now they wanted to meet the young man who had just sent it. And when a little while later the call came that I was going to be Frodo Baggins, I sat down on the floor of my bedroom and I understood with the whole of my being my life had just been divided into before and after. And I know I'm far from the only person who has had their life changed by Peter Jackson," unquote. Accepting the award from Wood with a hug, Jackson commented that he's grown a little bit of facial hair since the first time they met 27 years ago. Quote, "If someone does a remake of Gone with the Wind, it could be your role," Jackson joked. Then he delivered a heartfelt speech about how Cannes helped to save the Lord of the Rings franchise after a time of bad press during the disastrous AOL-Time Warner merger. Quote, "We had shot Lord of the Rings over 3 years, and we shot all 3 films at the same time," he recalled. "And the press was sort of weird. It was a strange time because Warner's was being sold. What goes around comes around. And so all the press was sort of talking about this great folly. What happens if the first film fails? What are they going to do about films 2 and 3 because they're already made? It was a huge gamble, but all the media was going about the gamble was going to fail," unquote. 25 years later, Lord of the Rings is still going strong. Jackson executive produced the animated installment, The War of the Rohirrim, in 2024. Gollum and actor Anthony Serkis is stepping behind the camera to direct 2027's Hunt for Gollum. And in March, Jackson announced that Stephen Colbert and his son Peter are developing the next chapter in the franchise titled Shadows of the Past. And speaking of Lord of the Rings, but not connected to the last story entirely, Amazon Prime Video has set a release date for the next installation of The Rings of Power. The 3rd season of the Lord of the Rings prequel series will debut on November 11th. The news was announced ahead of the Amazon presentation to advertisers at Upfronts in New York City, where the company also released a new image of Sauron wearing a crown. The Rings of Power is set thousands of years before the original books and movies during the Second Age of Middle-earth. According to the official description, Season 3 will take place several years after the events of Season 2, picking up at the height of the War of the Elves and Sauron, as the Dark Lord seeks to craft the one ring that will give him the edge he needs to win the war, bind all peoples to his will, and at last rule all of Middle-earth. According to Amazon, Season 1 remains the biggest TV launch ever, while Season 2 is among the top 5 most watched returning series ever. Both statistics were measured in terms of 91-day viewership. Amazon also says the series attracted over 185 million viewers overall and is one of the company's biggest contributors to new Prime Video signups. Dare to Be Stupid, the Weird Al musical, is coming to Broadway, featuring the music of Weird Al Yankovic. The Moulin Rouge director Alex Timbers and writers Scott Brown and Anthony King, who wrote Gutenberg the musical as well as Beetlejuice, are attached. Tony Award-winning Seaview, Every Brilliant Thing, and The Fear of 13 is on board to produce. The musical will feature songs from Yankovic's 4-decade song parody catalog, including White and Nerdy, Amish Paradise, Eat It, Smells Like Nirvana, Like a Surgeon, and many more. Ever since I was a middle-aged man, I've always wanted to be a part of the New York theater community. Plus, the one thing people always say about Broadway is it's severely lacking in Weird Al-based entertainment. And I think this musical should fix that problem immediately. Quote, said Weird Al. Quote, and in a statement, Timbers said, quote, I first fell in love with Al's music with the release of Dare to be Stupid, and I've remained an avid fan ever since. Now, it's a dream come true to work with one of my comedy heroes, bringing an original story set to his beloved songbook to the stage. What Al, Anthony, and Scott are creating is unexpected, subversive, meta, and hilarious. I can't wait for the world to experience it. Additional details of the Dare to be Stupid musical are to be announced shortly. Wonder if they'll tour it around, I might be, willing to see that. 20th Century Studios is returning again to the Planet of the Apes. Matt Shakman, who directed Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four First Steps, has been tapped to helm a new installment of the long-running sci-fi franchise. Josh Friedman, who co-wrote First Steps, will write the script for this new movie. In a twist worthy of an astronaut seeing the Statue of Liberty on the seashore, the new feature product will not be a sequel to Kingdom, which made $397.3 million worldwide and was generally considered a success. Kingdom was a continuation of the trilogy starting in 2011 that rebrewed the franchise and focused on the ape leader known as Caesar. Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver, who were producers on the previous ape films, are back for this one. So, a new ape film, but it's not going to be a sequel, which sounds like another reboot. Yay, reboots. I don't know, I'd just rather just as soon watch the original. Damn you all to hell. And on some sad news, Donald Gibb, who is best known for playing Ogre in the Revenge of the Nerds franchise, has passed away at the age of 71. The actor's son Travis shared with TMZ that his father had died on Tuesday evening due to health complications. Travis said that his dad died in his Texas home and was surrounded by family who loved him deeply. The outlet reports that Gibb had ongoing health issues that led to his death, with the family asking fans for prayers and privacy during the difficult time, knowing that their father will be deeply missed and forever remembered. Gibb was famously known for playing the lovable brute Frederick Aloysius Ogre Pulowski in the 1984 comedy film directed by Jeff Kanu, who would reprise his role in 1987's Revenge of the Nerds 2, Nerds in Paradise, and also reprise it in the TV film sequel of the franchise in 1994's Revenge of the Nerds 4, Nerds in Love. Other films in which Gibb was credited or was featured in include Meatballs Part 2, Jocks, They Still Call Me Bruce, Amazon Women on the Moon, Bloodsport Missing Pieces, Bloodsport 2, The Next Cumite, U.S. Marshals, Durango Kids, The Biggest Fan, and Hancock, just to name a few. In TV, Gibb had a guest starring role on Magnum P.I. and The A-Team, as well as Knight Rider, Facts of Life, My Two Dads, Night Court, MacGyver, Quantum Leap, Cheers, Boy Meets World, and Seinfeld, among others. He was also regular on the HBO sitcom First and 10, which ran for 6 seasons. The actor shared credits with Delta Burke and O.J. Simpson throughout its 80s episode run. Between 1993 and 1998, Gibb appeared on the ABC sitcom Step by Step, as well as Unhappily Ever After, Pacific Blue, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Arliss, Veronica's Closet, The Young and the Restless, and many others. Donald Gibb was 71 years old. And finally, this just broke today, Tom Kane, the prolific voice actor, whose body of work includes popular turns as Yoda in the Star Wars Clone Wars series, as well as Professor Utonium on the Powerpuff Girls, died today at the age of 64. Kane's death came from stroke compilations at a hospital in Kansas City, Missouri, and was announced by his talent agency. Quote, from his unforgettable performances in Star Wars to countless animated series, documentaries, and games, Tom brought wisdom, strength, humor, and heart to every role he touched. His voice became part of our lives, our memories, and the stories we carry on with us, they said in a statement. Kane suffered a stroke in 2020 that left him unable to speak or write. He retired in 2021, but did manage to attend the Lexington Comic and Toy Convention in Kentucky this past March, reuniting with the Powerpuff Girls cast for its first public appearance in years. Kane provided the mellifluous voice for the long-suffering valet Woodhouse on the FX animated series Archer, taking over the role from the late George Coe in 2014, played the rabbit Mr. Harriman on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Lord Monkey Fist on Kim Possible, and the smart monkey Darwin on The Wild Thornberrys, and portrayed Magneto and Ultron for Marvel projects. Born on April 15th, 1962 in Overland Park, Kansas, Thomas Kane Roberts started voice acting when he was 15 while attending Shawnee Mission South High School. Quote, I started calling local advertisers and offered my services. It didn't occur to me anyone got actually paid for it, he said in a 2010 interview. Kane graduated from the University of Kansas in 1984 and began at Lucasfilm, having miscellaneous and small voice parts for its video games starting in 1996. He took on Yoda for the first time in a game released in 1999. He continued as Yoda on the TV series Star Wars Clone Wars in 2003 and the 2008 Clone Wars film, where he also voiced Admiral Yularen. And for many projects over the years, he also provided the wartime-like narration that kicked off each episode of the Clone Wars. Quote, I didn't work on being Yoda. I saw the movies 53 times, so for the voice was very much in my head. Everybody tries to do Yoda, not just voiceovers, but everybody. I was doing stuff for LucasArts, and I was goofing around and reading Yoda lines, and what I didn't know was that Frank Oz, the original voice of Yoda, was directing a movie. They recorded it and played it for George Lucas, and I've been Yoda ever since. Meanwhile, Kane voiced the dorky dad Professor Utonium and the villain Him on the Cartoon Network's The Powerpuff Girls from 2016 to 2019, and also served as the voice of the Walt Disney World monorail system and the announcer for several Academy Award broadcasts. Survivors include his wife Cindy, whom he married in 1982, and their 9 children, 6 through adoption and fostering. Again, Tom Kane dead at the age of 64. He will be missed. And that brings us to the end of this edition of the show. Please be sure to check us out on social media. We're on Blue Sky at Multiverse Tom, Threads, Facebook, and Instagram at Multiverse Tonight. If you've gotten some value out of the show and would like to pay it back, please head on over to multiversetonight.com, where you can find our Patreon, Ko-fi links, check our show notes, visit our TeePublic store, and so much more. And if this is your first time listening, thank you. Thank you very much. And welcome. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, share it with others. Special thanks to Shane Ivers for the intro music and Lobo Loco for the outro theme music. Thanks for watching this edition of Multiverse Tonight. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more sci-fi and comic book news goodness. Now please exit the universe in an orderly fashion. Good night. Multiverse Tonight is a production of Half Big John Production. Copyright 2026. All rights reserved. Hey, someone just followed. Awesome. Awesome and welcome. It's a windy day outside. I can tell you that. Last ever corner here. Here's ours. I can open the blinds. So let's see how we did. How did we do today? Is the question that we ask. Let's open up the file and see how we did. That didn't help me. There we go. There we go. Podcast file. So I know it opens, but I can't do anything about anything you want, you got it. Anything you need, you got it. Anything you know, you got it. Baby. Doesn't help me. Hmm? Stop. Get back to the house. I bet you know. On here. Because I'm just there. Need be sing through here. Okay. Mhm. Interesting. Okay, so that's, yeah, that'll work. I had to create a second mix with the system SFX files and Build Studio files, but not the XLR, so I could talk and not hear myself. Because frankly, that's always like a half a second behind. Anyway, that works. So I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna try to get some other things done today, include calling this guy for the survey. And so I'll talk to you later. Peace out.